Welcome in, everybody, to the Late Night Baseball Show. It is November 27th, 2024, the day before Thanksgiving. And, folks, we told you we were taking a break, and I should have guessed that we are not taking a break. Parker and I got way too excited about doing the show, especially with some of the news happening around baseball over the last couple of days. So here we are, not as promised. We are back to join you here day before Thanksgiving to have some baseball talk here at the Late Night Baseball Show. We are not experts. We're just two guys who love the sport, love talking about it, and there's really no topic off topics here on the Late Night Baseball Show. And my partner joining me, as always, every week, Parker. Parker, how you doing?
Not bad, man. I think it's hilarious that you and I decided we were going to take a break, and then Blake Snell decided to ruin those plans. And we honestly, even without the Blake Snell news that we're going to talk about in a second, you and I were just like, I don't know, I kind of just want to talk about baseball again this week. So we can't be stopped, man. This is awesome.
No, there are no guardrails here, and that's why we do what we do here on a weekly basis. And every week we start the show by going over instant replays. Parker and I just react to some of the biggest news in the sport, and we give you kind of our instant reaction. So, Parker, why don't you hit us first?
All right, so, the biggest thing, I already mentioned it, the biggest thing that happened since the last time we recorded is that Blake Snell has signed a deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and honestly, I think that everybody who's not a Dodger fan is basically like, what the fuck is going on here? It's an $182 million contract, and I want to say it's to the tune of 5 years. There's deferred money in there. It's a classic recent years Dodger deal. And we see the team that literally has the commissioner's trophy sitting in the office, sitting in their trophy cabinet, defending their title. They're going to wear gold trim on their uniforms come opening day, and they've already managed to get better than they were last year.
I mean, absolutely, they get better. But here's a couple things I thought about right when the signing hit. Number one is this is a guy that was so hungry for a deal out of the gate. This guy didn't sign till, what was it, March of last offseason, almost into April, and he just wanted a deal. I don't blame him. Having said that, he goes to a defending World Series champion team with a pitching staff that's already loaded. And one of the things that I was thinking about yesterday was, this Dodgers pitching staff still doesn't really have workhorses. They have show ponies, a lot of show ponies. You have folks that just are not clocking innings over the last couple of years. You have Tyler Glass now, who's had some injury issues. Walker Buehrle, if he comes back, is going to have injury issues. They're likely going to sign Clayton Kershaw back here soon, injury issues. Shohei Ohtani's just now getting on the bump, hopefully early in 2025. And then now with Blake Snell, who's had, obviously, a great second half last year, but again, out first half with some injuries. So this is a team that's like, let's piece together all these really high ceiling pitchers, and just with a hope and a prayer, they'll all be healthy in 25.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a few people that are happy about this deal. Number one, Blake Snell, obviously, he's super excited. He gets to sign his mega deal that he was looking for last season, didn't actually get it. Still made $35 million last season, so not feeling too sorry for him. But he gets this big deal, so he's happy. There's another group of people, Dodgers fans, they're happy about this as well. There's two more people that are happier than maybe the first two that I mentioned. Number one, Scott Boras, because Scott Boras he's making a lot of money off this deal. But I think that the person who is most happy about this deal is Corbin Burnes. Because Corbin Burnes and Blake Snell both had 7.2 WAR last season. Corbin Burnes is 2 years younger. And Corbin Burnes also is a free agent. So what did Blake Snell just do? He set market value. And Corbin Burnes is going to make more money in free agency than Blake Snell probably did. So honestly, this may seem like a fast deal, but I think that maybe this was part of the reason that we saw Blake Snell go so long last season, because Scott Boras knew, I've got Corbin Burnes coming on free agency next season. He's going to be able to play these two pitchers off of each other in a way that very few agents in the game have ever been able to do, because the market's been set. Market's been set at 5 years, $185 million. And Corbin Burnes is going to want probably 9, and he's going to want more AAV. So, I'm on the fence of whether these types of deals are good for the game of baseball. I think that
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to say that they're not good because I think that, the players making more money, being able to put a decent product on the field, having a big bad evil empire, I think maybe it's unpopular, but I think that it's a really good thing for the game in general. But Corbin Burns, man, he is going to eat as a result of this deal.
He sure will. Later, we're going to have a chance to get into some of those, some of our predictions. So stick around for the remaining free agents, and we'll definitely talk about kind of where we expect Corbin Burns to be and how much we think he will fetch. But one of my instant replays today, Parker, is the Angels. Watch out for the Angels because they're doing things. They're on a mission. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
they're
mission
making
is,
moves.
but like, and that's kind of my instant reaction here. Like the Angels are always just in this in between kind of purgatorial space of we have no prospects and we're going to dump money into players and they're all going to flop. Your Anthony Rendones of the world, your CJ Wilsons of the world, but now, I mean, they've kind of been the most active so far in this offseason. They've added Yusei Kikuchi, Kevin Newman, Travis Darno, Kyle Hendricks. They've made the most moves out of the gate here. And these are all just kind of middling signings that maybe they hit, but I don't know what they're doing. I never know what they're doing, quite frankly.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this Angels team because, like, if you're trying to beef up your catcher position, sure, Travis Darno is a good way to go. It's hard to go wrong with a guy like Travis Darno. You're trying to beef up the starting rotation and you're not willing to buy into a Corbin Burns or a Blake Snell or Max Fried or what have you. Sure, Yusei Kikuchi. I mean, he is 34 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Yusei Kikuchi. That's a name that has some weight around these parts. So we're gonna see how it works out for him. I'm local to the Angels, so I'm probably gonna find myself in their ballpark. And as somebody that gets to go to that ballpark all the time, I can tell you it's beautiful, and it's probably gonna be even cooler with Yusei Kikuchi on the mound. So good for them. Weird signings. Uh, Art is always going to be doing art things, and that team's always going to be weird. And who knows? Maybe they catch fire and light or catch lightning in a bottle one of these days and just overperform expectations. But it just doesn't. None of these moves are the move to me that it's like, wow, the Angels are here and they're in.
No, and dare I forget, they also picked up Jorge Soler in a trade with the Braves. Let's not forget that.
The
So
literal first move of the offseason, the day after the
the
World
day
Series.
after, people didn't even finish their coffee in the morning, and they're picking up Jorge Soler. So, Parker, you have an interesting one.
Yeah, okay, so I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. Actually, before I move into the Hall of Fame ballot, I do want to point out Yusei Kikuchi made 32 starts last season, so that is something that the Angels are definitely going to benefit from.
Workhorse for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to talk about the Hall of Fame ballot. The Hall of Fame ballot has been released. It is out there. We have a bunch of new people on the ballot. A few of them, or one of them, we talked about last season, or excuse me, last podcast in Ichiro Suzuki. I want both of us, and you can start to come up with one person from this ballot that particularly sticks out for you. Could be a person who's new to the ballot this year. Could be a person that's on their last year on the ballot. Could be somebody who hasn't been voted in but isn't on their last year, and you're looking for them to make a push this season.
This is the
Or I can start.
ultimate.
It's up
No,
to
no,
you.
I'll go ahead and start, and here's why. This guy is near and dear to my heart. I think you know who I'm going to pick, and it's the consistent left-hander Mark Buehrle because this is not a guy who sticks out and does not jump off the page as a Hall of Famer. But you have to remember that Mark Buehrle, he was a remarkably consistent pitcher. I mean, 16 major league seasons, uh, under 4 ERA, 381 ERA, 5-time All-Star, okay, 4-time Gold Glove winner. He had
Yeah.
Cy Young consideration while it was only once in 16 seasons. He did finish 5th in the Cy Young in 2005, of course, when the White Sox won the World Series. So his Hall of Fame case recently, he actually in 2023, his third year on the ballot, received just about, I think it was like 11% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an increase from like a 5% vote the previous year. And he was still shy in his first ballot at like 11%. So he hasn't really kind of broken that, not even close to breaking that threshold. But the fact of the matter is, like, if you look at, let's just say, I have a stat here pulled up because this is one of the things that I have on my search, actually, I have a save tab. This is how much I really think about this. Mark Buehrle, like literally, there's like a Mark Buehrle like contingent of White Sox fans that are like, get this man in the freaking Hall of Fame, and I'm one of
Hell
those
yeah.
people. The only pitchers in the modern era with 14 consecutive seasons of 200 innings: Mark Buehrle, Christy Mathewson, Warren Spahn, Gaylord Perry, Greg Maddux, Phil Necro, and Don Sutton. Those are some names.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Those
sure he's the
are
only one of those names that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
that is correct. So I'm sorry. This guy has been on the Hall of Fame ballot now for a handful of years. He needs a call to the Hall. I will be extremely disappointed if he does not make it in the Hall, mainly because he does not reach the echelon of some of these other pitchers on this list, at least at first blush.
I couldn't agree more. If you hadn't brought up the innings pitched, I was going to bring up the fact that for that same exact stretch, he posted 30 plus starts in every single one of those seasons. If your final season in the big leagues, by the way, he actually has one more season than the 200 inning streak of 30 plus starts, because his final season in the big leagues, he started 32 games and 198 and 2/3 innings pitched.
It doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't.
No, not at all. Nothing. I'm not going to say nothing. That's so diminutive of his career. I mean, when you finish your career with 16 seasons, 60 WAR, 60 flat baseball reference WAR, like there's got to be consideration to that. I understand I don't know if any point in his career, like he was probably an open day starter a few times. You would know better than me.
Yeah.
But at no point in his career was he this just like absolute blitzing lefty who was going to strike everybody. No, but he was Mr. Consistent, and he was going to make 30 starts a year. He did every single year. My favorite era of Mark Buehrle, weirdly enough, is the 1 year he spent in Miami, when Miami was in 2012 supposed to be like a really good team, and like added all these guys, and it was going to be all, and it just never happened. But we're talking about a guy who spent his entire career posting, and I think that in a current climate that doesn't necessarily reward that, Mark Buehrle has to get consideration, if only for the fact that he showed up when it mattered, which was literally every time he was scheduled. And then in 2005, when the White Sox won the World Series, he was 5th in Cy Young voting. He showed up in a big way. And I love pitchers who can field their position. So when you win 4 consecutive Gold Gloves between the years of 2009 and 2012, that always gets you points in my book. But I love Mark Buehrle with 117 career ERA plus. Like, I don't know. I think you put him in the Hall.
I think you do, and there's a few guys on this list, quite a few, that I would have the same argument for. I'm interested to hear, Parker, who stood out to you.
I'm also going with my layup pick, because this is the first year that Dustin Pedroia is on the ballot.
I knew it.
Now, here's the deal. My take might surprise you. I do not think that Dustin Pedroia is a Hall of Famer.
I would think that's an extremely valid argument. I want to hear it. Please continue.
So Dustin Pedroia finished his career with 51.9 B-WAR. And when we look at the lowest B-WAR in all of the Hall of Fame, we have to go no further than Harold Baines. And I'm pulling up his WAR statistic. He has a 38.8 WAR, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Dustin Pedroia clearly clears that mark by a wide margin. But we're talking about a player toward the end of his career riddled with injuries. I think Dustin Pedroia arguably has one of the best 6 to 8 year stretches to begin a career in a very long time, or at least an uncommonly good 6 to 8 season stretch. He won Rookie of the Year, and then the next season he won MVP. He won the World Series twice, in 2007, and 2007 being his rookie season, and then in 2013. He was technically on the team in 2018, but they don't put it on his baseball reference page because he really didn't play much that season. I think he played like 6 games. Let me look. Hold on. 2018, he played
3 games.
He played 3 games. He played 3 games in 2018. So yeah, he got a ring, but like it's not on his baseball reference page. He was a Gold Glove caliber second baseman. He was a Silver Slugger 1 time. Why is he not a Hall of Famer? For me, it is the fact that the end of his career was, I won't say subpar, but it was not particularly spectacular. Now, when he was on the field, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
but he never put his highest OPS plus he ever had was 131, but he hovered around the 113 mark. That is his career average OPS plus. To me, that doesn't scream Hall of Famer when you
Yeah.
take into account the fact that he was 4 Gold Gloves, yes, but when it comes to advanced defensive metrics, he wasn't the best second baseman. Like, I feel like if you're going to be in the Hall of Fame and you have 113 OPS plus, you're just above league average, you need to be a spectacular defensive player. And Dustin Pedroia, while being very good, wasn't to me that transcendent level spectacular defender. And you're talking about my favorite Red Sox player of all time. I grew up watching this man. I wore his jersey. I had a shirt that said Pedroia the Destroyer. And like, I loved that guy. Okay. I called him Petey and Muddy Chicken and all of the nicknames that he hated his entire life. The laser show himself. But with 1,800 career hits and 140 home runs, he it stinks for him because if he'd played a few more games, he may have been able to crack the 300 batting average mark, but he batted 299 over the course of his career. As much as I love him and as much as he will always be the heart and soul of the teams that he was a part of, I just don't know if Dustin Pedroia makes the Hall of Fame. I don't think Dustin Pedroia increases the average caliber player in the Hall of Fame.
I would have to agree with you. I mean, your point on his kind of stretch of really above average play, right? That stretch from about 2008 through 2013. I mean, that's still less than half of his career. I mean, he was still at like 7, 5.6, 8, 5, 6 WAR. I mean, that is the best of Dustin Pedroia. But then you get into the argument, I think soundly, of is he in the Hall of Very Good or the Hall of Fame? And I really do think the distinction is Hall of Fame is you need to see that excellence over a longer period of time. And you're
Mm-hmm.
right. He just doesn't have it.
Yeah, and it sucks to say.
Yeah, yeah.
In 2011, which is oddly enough not his MVP season, in 2011 he posted his highest WAR of 8.0 B WAR. He played 159 games that year. Funny enough, he only played 139 games in his MVP campaign. Excuse me. No. Excuse me. He played 157 games in his MVP campaign.
Yeah,
But
that
still,
makes sense.
I don't know if the highest WAR mark of your career is 8 and then the next one is 7 and it starts falling off a cliff and your average WAR per season is 5 points. Average WAR in 162 game stretch is 5.6. To me, that's just not a Hall of Famer.
No.
That's a Red
But
Sox Hall of Famer,
I
but
was
not a baseball Hall
literally
of Famer.
that was just going to come out of my mouth. I was going to say, Parker, it's okay. He's a Red Sox Hall of Famer, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I don't know that Dustin Pedroia is sitting at home right now, wringing his hands wondering, am I going to make the Hall of Fame? I think Dustin Pedroia knows very well where his standing is, and I think he's just as disappointed with the end of his career as every fan that watched him play. Yeah, I don't know if Dustin Pedroia would argue. He would argue with me over this. He's like that kind of guy. But I don't know. It sucks to say. And I was so excited when I saw him on the ballot to begin with, but looked at it. I pulled up his baseball reference page like the day I saw the ballot post, and I was like, oh no, if he makes it, it's in his final year.
Oh yeah. It will not be anytime soon, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I appreciate the
Where
objectivity.
are we? Okay, so we have one more instant replay, and this one, you wrote it on our show notes. I'm interested to see where we're going with this because among the teams interested in this player, I'm wearing the hat. The Red Sox. I'm wearing the hat of one.
You sure are. And my last instant replay today is Nolan Arenado. We hardly knew ye because I feel like Nolan is one of those players that we always knew was a supremely talented third baseman. The defense is off the charts. The offense has seen sparks throughout his whole career, from when he was in the Rockies all the way to his current and recent Cardinals days. Having said that, this poor guy cannot get on a competitive winning team, and it sucks. Like, I feel like we don't get the best Nolan Arenado. We all know what happened when he was with the Rockies. He demanded to be traded. They weren't going to sport a winning team. He gets to the Cardinals thinking, finally, I have a chance to be on a competitive team. They've absolutely flopped over the last handful of years. This guy can't catch a break. And I say we hardly knew ye because I don't think we're getting the best Nolan Arenado, which I still think he's one of the best premier players in this game, and we are not seeing it. And I really hope that he finds himself on another team for 2025. He just recently, news is out of St. Louis that he'd be willing to move to first base, seemingly to give more options in a trade for the Cardinals. I think he wants out, and he should get out.
Okay, so I'm shaking my head at the end of that. I agree with you 100%. I want him to leave. I want him to go to the Red Sox. Look, I want him to go to Boston. We've had subpar defense since Rafael Devers joined us up at the big league club. Rafael Devers was just signed to a massive extension. He's going to be a Red Sox presumably for the rest of his effective big league career. At this point in time, I think Rafael Devers kind of needs to bite the bullet and either move to designated hitter or kind of get out of the way.
Oh, that hurts.
And that stinks to say. But
$30 million DH? No thanks.
Yeah, the Dodgers have a $70 million DH, okay? He just won MVP.
Boo.
But what I'm getting at here is the stat that pops off the page, and say what you want about the Rawlings Gold and Platinum Glove Awards. They are definitely a popularity contest. They do not necessarily go to the best defensive player at each position.
Yeah.
But Nolan Arenado owns 6 Rawlings Platinum Gloves. Platinum glove going to the best fielder in the entire major leagues. And here's a little fun fact about Nolan Arenado. You remember him, and when you think of the glory days of Nolan Arenado, you think of which team?
I think the Rockies.
You think of the Rockies. What if I told you that his highest WAR that he ever accumulated in a season was in 2022 with the St. Louis Cardinals?
That would absolutely shock me. I would pin it on his second to last Rockies season, or a couple of the final Rockies seasons, I would think.
He was close. He was a 7.3 WAR in 2019, his second to last season with the Rockies. He played 155 games. Then he played 48 of the 60 COVID games in 2020. But in 2022, playing less games than he played in 2019, he posted a 7.7 WAR, which led the big leagues and landed him an MVP 3 finish. Look, he has 2.4 and 2.5 WAR in his last 2 seasons. But you know what else he is? He's a right-handed hitter. And he doesn't hit the ball particularly hard, but a lot of those flyouts at Busch could be doubles in Fenway Park. I'm just selling myself even more on Nolan Arenado at this point. I think he's a legend of the game. I think he's the best, if not the second best, defensive third baseman of all time. When you throw Brooks Robinson in there, it's hard to make that distinction. Mm-hmm. But he's an incredible player. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's really good with his teammates. He's a veteran leader. He also, like you said earlier, needs to go to a winning team at some point. And while the Red Sox have not been that winning team in the past, in the last few years, I think that if everything goes in the offseason the way that hopefully the ownership group has been saying in Boston that it's going to go, I think Nolan Arenado would find a pretty good home in Boston. But like you said, hopefully he goes somewhere that wins. I just need to see the guy put a ring on his finger one time before he goes, because he's one of the all-time greats.
He sure is. That would be absolutely the case. And he's 33, right? He's coming up to the end of his career. We hope he has not made it past his prime. But we'll see.
I think it's safe to say he's past his prime, but he's not past his period of efficacy.
That's a perfect way to explain it. He could still be an above average productive major league player, without a doubt.
I don't expect 130 plus RBIs from him like he was putting up 3 consecutive years with the Rockies. But he has posted 105, 103, 93, and 71 RBIs in his last 4 seasons. I'm going to write that 71 off as playing for a fucking terrible Cardinals team last season.
100%. If you give me the defensive Nolan Arenado, and he's giving me 25 homers and 90 RBIs, I'll take that every day.
And he averages 39 home runs over a 162 game span. Okay. A lot of that comes from juiced up Coors numbers, but still, the guy's hit in his 4 seasons with St. Louis, 34, 42, 26, and 23 home runs. It's exactly what you just said. 25 homers, right, and then you can clock in 75 RBIs for the guy. I'm with you. I appreciate 100%. It. Welcome to Boston.
He's picking him up from the airport. Parker's already in the car.
I'm on my way to the airport right after we're done recording. As you can see by my background, I'm literally in Boston right now.
Yeah, you're literally in the center field, it looks like in the bleachers in center field. All right, free agent frenzy. Let's do this. So this is something Parker and I talked about literally 2 days ago. We were really excited about this. We want to run through this with everyone. And we want to make the all free agent MLB team. And we want to put this team together and figure out how it compares to other teams. And would this team get us excited? Hey, maybe we can make this one of those expansion teams. So, Parker, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and make a lineup catcher, all the position players. We're going to do a starting pitcher, a relief pitcher, and a closer. And you have to give me current free agents. So, for example, Blake Snell doesn't count because he was signed. I need current free agents, and I'm going to give you the position, and you're going to give me the top WAR, the player with the top WAR at that position, and we're going to fill him into our lineup. So let's start with catcher. Which free agent catcher right now has the top WAR?
I'm stumped on catcher, dude. I've been trying to think about this since you posted it in our show notes. Because my guess would have been Travis d'Arnaud, but Travis d'Arnaud is now a Los Angeles Angel of Anaheim, California. So none of the Contreras are. I'm trying to think of free agent catchers now, and I don't even have any coming to me. So I'm gonna take a pass on catcher. What a riveting segment! I have no idea what's going on.
That's okay. I don't expect you to know all the free agents. This is just a fun thing to do to see who we got. Higgy. Kyle Higashioka is 35 years old and in 2024 had a 2.9 WAR. Travis d'Arnaud, you were close, had a 2.5 WAR.
Okay, so I had the second place guy.
That was a good one. Wow,
Kyle Higashioka. That's not inspiring. I'm sorry.
It's really not. It's a weak catching class. That was the one I thought you would not get, so that's okay. So let's go to first base. Who is the top WAR getter for first base in 2024?
I have an answer for this one. I'm not 100% confident in this answer, but I think it should be Pete Alonso, right?
No.
Really?
No, it is not. I was shocked by this too. It is not Pete Alonso. I'll give you a second guess on this one.
This one might take me. Okay, so
I'll give you a hint. Pete Alonso isn't. His WAR is not coming from his defense, but this guy's is definitely. The defense is doing the heavy lifting.
Good defensive. What's his name?
34 years old, 6.8 WAR.
I can see the team. He plays for the Diamondback. Christian Walker.
He does. Christian Walker. That is it. A lot of heavy lifting that defense is doing on that WAR. But
yeah, it is. But he also has the offensive potential. Like he's not.
He does.
He had a down offensive season. He is a decent offensive player, and you know you're getting Gold Glove caliber first base play from him. So that's good. I like that.
Absolutely. Second base, who you got?
Oh, God. Is this a weak second base class, too?
Yes, there's pretty much just one guy that's over 5 WAR.
Does Willy Adames count?
No.
He didn't play enough. It's not Ha-Seong Kim?
No.
Oh, God. Who is it?
Gleyber Torres.
Gleyber's the number one second baseman?
Yes.
Well, that sounds like Gleyber Torres is catching strays on this podcast. Not a big Gleyber Torres guy.
You don't say.
If I'm a front office, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. I'd probably ask Nolan Arenado to play second base before I ask Gleyber Torres to play second base.
I mean, if you don't want 5.3 WAR Gleyber Torres, we can go down the list. I can interest you in a 2 WAR Nicky Lopez or a negative 0.1 WAR Adam Frazier. Or you know what? Just for shits and gigs, a negative 0.2 WAR Tony Kemp. Any of those interest you?
I could do a whole episode on the state of the second base position. And as somebody who's played a lot of second base in my life, I have a soft spot in my heart. Second base I wish that there would be somebody who plays second base and plays a really good second base in the MLB that would make the same shirt that the failed starter shirt, because I think every second baseman is a quote unquote failed shortstop.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody knows that if you are a second baseman, you're either a third baseman with decent range or you are a shortstop that is climbing in years. So I don't think anybody likes identifying themselves as a second baseman, especially leading into free agency. Almost nobody becomes a second baseman by trade and goes into free agency as a second baseman. But you'll see shortstops get signed and then go move over to second base.
That's right. That is right. Speaking of shortstops, who is your shortstop here, free agent?
Oh, God. I'm gonna be so bad at this, dude.
This
I
should
don't.
be one of the easiest.
No way. I'm so dumb.
8 WAR, 29 years old.
8 WAR, 29 years old. Who is a guy that we've been waiting to become a
Underrated, vastly underrated. We talked about how underrated he is.
Oh God, I'm gonna hate myself for missing this.
He plays in one of the Central Divisions, or played in one of the Central Divisions.
Central Division.
The
Shortstop.
Dodgers are interested. The Giants are interested in him. Doesn't look like the team he was on has any interest in re-signing him. They're kind of a mid-market to no, not even mid-market. They're a small market team that generally would not give him the money he's probably going to garner.
Central Division. Jonathan Idiot? No, he's not a second shortstop.
No.
Who am I missing here? Oh my God. I'm tempted to cheat. I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna do that.
No. I'm going to give it to you because you just said it. You're not. You got it. We got to use your brain. You just Willie Adames.
Oh my God. In my head. Oh my God. Yeah, he's in the Central Division. Brewers are a small market team.
What are you drinking over there? What do you got? What do you got?
Coors Banquet. Coors Banquet, okay?
Coors Banquet, is that the fancy shit? What the hell's that?
Yeah, dude, Coors Banquet, dude. Rocky Mountain water since 1873, dude. Back in 1873, Willie Adames wasn't a shortstop. That's my excuse. No, Willie Adames, dude. I get it. I'm all about Willie Adames. This is the kind of guy that genuinely changes a franchise for a large market team that has the money to put up for him. He's been super productive for the Brewers and brings an offensive edge that not a lot of shortstops kind of do these days. I mean, I know we're in a weird state of shortstops where all of them are in San Diego and all of them became other positions.
Yeah.
But I think that Willie Adames, I should know that definitely off the top of my head. Willie Adames, that's a good one. I like it.
Well, here's your redemption. Third base.
Alex Bregman.
Boom. Alex Bregman, 31 years old, 8.6 WAR in 2024. Who do we have for now? This list I pulled from basically goes off of the players who spent the most time in this position in 2024. So think about that as we go through left, center, and right field. So left field, okay. Who do you got?
Left field. Left field.
You should know this guy pretty well.
Was he a Red Sox at some point?
He sure was. 3.1 WAR, 30 years old. Former Bird.
Former Cardinal?
Yeah.
Former Cardinal. Prior Red Sox.
He's basically like he's like a walking advertisement for spinach. And Wheaties.
Tyler O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill. There we go.
Tyler O'Neill. Have fun paying him. Have fun paying that guy.
Yeah, someone's still bitter.
So he had a very good season for the Red Sox. He hit 31 home runs or something like that. Tyler O'Neill played I don't know if anybody needed a good season before free agency like Tyler O'Neill did. He hit 31 home runs. Yep, hit it on the head. 61 RBI. Here's the problem with Tyler O'Neill, and you can see it when you look at his stolen base numbers. 4 stolen bases. 4 stolen bases for a guy whose speed in the past has been a calling card. Now, he was never a guy that stole more than 15, but he was a guy that made plays on the base paths. And I say that he needed a good season and more than anybody because he has been injured every single season that he has been in the big leagues. He only played 138 games for them as the most games that he ever played in a season prior to last year, and that was in 2021 with the Cardinals. And then he was so injured for 2022 and 2023. 96 and 72 games played. Even last season, he missed significant time. 113 games played. Still hit 31 balls out of the ballpark, which is all you can ask for your left fielder. But plays not that great defense. He is a Gold Glover 2 times somehow. And I didn't watch a ton of him before he came to the Red Sox. But I'll tell you, there were games the Red Sox lost because of this guy's defense. So think of him like a Kyle Schwarber. He's going to hit some bombs, not going to really hit for average, and he's not going to play great defense.
Well, it's something interesting. I'm looking up at Baseball Savant here. I like looking at their kind of sprint speeds, and Tyler O'Neill's sprint speed. He was top one or three sprint speed from 2018 to 2022. In the last two seasons, he is no longer in the top three. He actually went down, but it looks like 1.5 feet per second each of the last two seasons. That's crazy.
He is doing a very early in his career Giancarlo Stanton. He hasn't sprinted in about 4 years, just trying to stay healthy. This was very, very much, the eye test says, this was so much of a stay healthy season from Tyler O'Neill. He wanted to be on the field. He wanted to be able to swing the bat. He wanted to put balls over the fence because he knew he was going into free agency. I don't want him back in Boston.
And that's the verdict. All right, let's zip through the rest of these. Center field, who do you got? This is a weak class, just a heads up.
I was going to say, very weak class, right? The only guys, because for some reason, this guy is like built up in my head. I've had a lot of really good MLB The Show games with this guy, so I'm going to say his name, but I don't think is Michael A. Taylor?
Yes, so this is a trick one because we have two players that are tied with the top WAR, both Michael A. Taylor with 2.4 WAR and Harrison Bader, which surprised me. 2.4 WAR.
Look at Harrison Bader go.
Like, where did he go pick up the WAR? I didn't know. That's surprising.
I didn't even think he played baseball last season. Yeah, no, I like Michael A. Taylor. I'm a big fan of that guy. I think he brings a lot to the table in a contact sense. The only other one that I would think of is like Kike Hernandez, but like it depends. He's a center fielder in name only sometimes.
So Kike is on this list. You would be surprised to know he was a negative 0.4 WAR.
No, I'm not surprised at all. What are you talking about? Not surprised at all.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. We're talking about regular season Kike, not postseason Kike.
Postseason Kike, probably 15 WAR. Regular season Kike, honestly, just sign him on August 31st so he can make your postseason roster, and he's going to be a massive contributor in the postseason.
Oh, that's too funny. That is too funny. Okay, right field. If you get this one wrong, you're off the show.
Juan Soto.
Thank you. All right. Yep. Designated. I didn't put DH on here. I'm going to add that. DH. Go ahead.
Who's this fucking Teoscar Hernandez? He got signed.
No, not Teoscar. This gentleman they have as the leader is 33, 3.7 WAR. He's hopped around teams a lot over the last 3 or 4 seasons. He recently played close, not JD. This other guy he's played for the Braves, the Cubs, the Giants. He's hopped around a lot in the last.
He played for the Giants last season?
He played, I think, for the Diamondbacks last season. Let me double check that. Please hold. This makes for great radio. Yeah, Diamondbacks last season. So in 2021, he spent a lot of time with the Dodgers. That's where you know him. 2021 Braves and Cubs, 22, 23 Giants, 24 Diamondbacks. Left-handed hitter. Always looks like his pants, and this is just fun and anecdotal, he wears his pants like he's literally a freaking T-baller and does not know how to wear his baseball pants. And you're going to know what I'm talking about when you...
Oh, God.
Like, it pisses me off how he wears his pants. I'm like, can you fix them? Because you look like you just got out of your mom's minivan crunching on some goldfish and a Capri Sun. Please, fix your pants.
Oh, man, I'm going to not be able to get this one. You're going to say it, I'm going to know.
Peterson.
Jock! Okay. Jock. If you'd said something about pearls, I would have known what you're talking about.
That's
okay.
That was a missed opportunity.
Yep.
All right.
I love Jock. Good for him. He only hits righties.
100%. All right, starting pitcher. This one's going to be interesting. Now, take Blake Snell out of this. Take Kikuchi out of this, obviously. Who is the top WAR starting pitcher?
I cheated on this one when I wrote my instant replay down. It's Corbin Burns because he had the same WAR as Blake Snell. And like I said, I think Corbin Burns is going to make so much money this offseason because not only did Blake Snell set the market, but Blake Snell set the market with the same agent that represents Corbin Burns, Scott Boras.
Sure did. All right, this one is totally a crapshoot. We're gonna do the list they have here is just relief pitchers, so I'm actually gonna have you pick the top two relief pitchers for our relief pitcher and our closer.
I'm
I'm
not going to be
just
able to get relief
You're not
pitchers.
gonna get this. I'm gonna just give you the hints right here and just even see if you sniff it. So
Okay.
first one's 30 years old, 4.5 WAR, played on the Marlins last year.
Tanner Scott.
Boom, that's gonna be our closer. And then for our second guy, we have 32 years old, 3.6 WAR, and he played for the Phillies last year.
Is Sir Anthony Dominguez a free agent?
No,
Hmm. It's not Alvarado, is it?
it is not.
I wouldn't know.
He is. That was a really fucking weird way to say that. He is Jeff Hoffman,
Hmm.
which I would never have guessed.
Wouldn't have
myself.
got that with a gun to my head.
No way. No way. All right, so here's what we got. This is our all free agent team. We have Rob Manfred's calling us up and saying, "Hey, I got an expansion team. Who are my guys? Here's what we're giving him. We're giving him Kyle Higashioka at catcher, Christian Walker at first, Gleyber Torres at second, Willie Adames at short, Alex Bregman at third, Tyler O'Neill at left, Michael A. Taylor in center, Juan Soto's batting cleanup in right, Jock Peterson's wearing funky ass pants at DH, Corbin Burns is starting pitcher, Jeff Hoffman is a right relief pitcher, and Tanner Scott is closing games. It's okay. I don't love it.
Yeah, your outfield, you're not catching shit.
No,
No.
that's if they even make it to the damn baseball. I mean,
Yeah, you're not catching shit. But your infield, that's a killer infield, man.
that's pretty solid.
Hopefully they don't hit the ball to Glaber. But offensively, a good infield. Starting pitcher Corbin Burns. If I'm having him start an opening day for me, it's a good day. And Tanner Scott closing games is always a good option. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I like the roster. Hopefully a lot of those guys find success on their future teams. Guys that are not the big name, guys that really stick out to me. Like, we can talk about Bregman. We're going to talk about Juan Soto here in a second. But I'll be very interested to see where guys like Tyler O'Neill end up. I don't think he's going to get a big league, like big contract, but I think he'll get a few years, probably around 20-some million. Christian Walker at the tail end of his super big efficacy period, like I talked about earlier. He's always going to bring a good defensive first base, and he can lean into one and really put it out of the ballpark at first base. But the guy that really sticks out to me that's really interesting, Willie Adames. Willie Adames is going to really make a roster wherever he goes, and that's going to be really cool.
For sure. And all we need to do is have Grady Little manage his team, and we're in business.
Yeah, there you go.
Sound good to you?
Sounds great. I'm not traumatized at all.
Oh, man. All right, Parker. Juan Soto. Things are happening. We got to talk about it. So Juan Soto sweepstakes are getting hot and heavy. They are all the teams that needed to make offers or wanted to make offers were supposed to make preliminary offers by Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow at time of recording. And I guess we don't know, but it is reported that 5 teams made offers: Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Dodgers, Blue Jays. So I want to kind of just quickly go through this list, Parker, and talk about if these teams were to sign him, what would that mean for them? Let's start with the Yankees. If the Yankees were to be able to get him back in the Bronx, what would it mean for them in 2025?
I think it would mean a lot. I need to be better. He's going to mean a lot to wherever he goes.
Oh, yes.
But so this opinion applies to the Yankees and also to the Mets. I don't know if the Yankees are something that super appeal to him. Mostly because he did the thing with him. He went to the World Series, made a really deep playoff run. And who were the guys that showed up and swung the bat during that playoff run? Well, it wasn't the captain. No. And it wasn't the guys in the lineup that you thought were going to be swinging the bat super effectively. When we talk about guys who were actually effective, it was Giancarlo Stanton, who came out of nowhere and was an absolute force. And who's the other guy? I think he's a free agent. Anyway, the names that were swinging the bat during the playoffs, not the guys that you thought were going to be swinging the bat. And I think that sours him to the Yankees.
Not only does that sour him. Now, okay, surprise, surprise. I don't know Juan Soto, don't know his motivations, haven't talked to him recently, okay? But I want to know. Him up. Probably should hit him up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he can loan me a couple bucks. But here's what I'm thinking. again, we're making a presumption here, but I wonder if Juan Soto is the type of guy that cares about being the guy. Because if you're in New York playing next to Aaron Judge, you're not the guy, and for your whole contract, you're really not going to be the guy. And if that's a concern for him as a face of the franchise type of guy, that could be a detractor for him.
Now, this is coming from guys who are classic Boris mouthpieces like John Heyman, but apparently you hit the nail on the head. And apparently being the guy is a big deal to Juan Soto. He obviously wants to win rings. He wants to be in a lineup that's going to support him. He wants protection in that lineup, and he wants to hit at a ballpark in an environment that he finds appealing. But there is something to be said for the fact that Juan Soto's been in the league now for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And during that time, I don't like in Washington, he was kind of the guy, but he was also
the guy.
Yeah, he was a rookie though, so it's like he was 19. Like, was he just kind of a phenom?
Right, you're not the guy with the reputation behind you as much. That's true.
Right, and he definitely wasn't the guy with the Padres because they have guys like Machado and Tatis. And he definitely wasn't the guy in New York because, like you said, Aaron Judge exists and will always be the captain as long as he's with that team. So I think that means a lot to him, and that's why I don't think the Yankees could genuinely just pay him $700 million and call it a game, and he could go back to New York.
He could.
But I think that when you split the hairs between a $660 million contract and a $710 million contract, I mean, to my broke brain, it's like, what's the difference between them? What's the best situation for you becomes the most important thing in that situation. And I don't know if the best situation for him is the Yankees.
Well, the other side of town, I think for the Mets, Parker, it's more that they took a pretty shocking leap this season. And Steve Cohen has been very transparent about pouring money into this team. And there's going to be no better player over the next 5 to 10 years to pour money into than Juan Soto. I think it would be a coup for them to step in front of the Yankees, grab Juan Soto, and really propel this thing and actually keep it alive. Because the Mets, if you look over their last 5 to 10 years, the Mets are always the team that has a really good year out of nowhere, and then they go right back to the cellar the next year. If they're going to keep this thing on the rails, they need to get someone big signing like a Juan Soto, I think.
Yeah. My only problem with the Mets, it's kind of an environment thing. We know he can play in New York. We know he can perform in New York. It's not really the New York media or anything like that. I think he's proven he can win in that environment. Who protects him in that lineup?
Not a damn person. Not even, and quite frankly, if you're bringing in Pete Alonso, he's not really protecting you either. He's not a guy that protects you, in my opinion.
I would so much rather pitch to Pete Alonso in every situation than I would rather pitch to Juan Soto.
100%.
The only guy that I could think of that might do that is Francisco Lindor, but if he's not hitting leadoff, he's not at his full potential.
That's right. I think there's just not enough around him that put him in the best position to succeed if he's looking at that from his point of view.
Mm-hmm. And this would be crazy, but if somehow the Mets can find a way to sign Soto and Bregman, that's a different story. Yeah. I don't think that's something off the table for somebody as willing to spend money as Steve Cohen. But sure. I do think that the problem with that is Juan Soto's probably going to sign before Bregman. And you cannot guarantee getting Bregman after signing Juan Soto.
No way. So
I want to move on. The Mets are also out for me.
The Mets are definitely out for me, too. I would put them actually at the bottom of the totem pole of all these 5 teams. I do want to skip over the Red Sox. I'm going to save that one for the end. But I do want to move over to the Dodgers. Parker, I'm going to be honest with you, and it's not merely because of the Blake Snell signing. I think that helps my case here. But I just don't see the Dodgers pulling it off with Juan Soto. I put them at the bottom of this list as well.
My opinion on this is that something has to give eventually. I don't think Juan Soto's down to defer money. No, it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like that's part of his game plan this offseason. He's not down to defer money, which really puts the Dodgers in a weird position considering they're going to be paying Mookie Betts until 2044. They're going to be paying Shohei Ohtani until 2080.
It's like Bobby Bonilla land over there.
Man. So the Dodgers, for me, you just spent $1 billion. They're, let's be honest, probably going to sign Roki Sasaki. They're probably going to have success with Roki Sasaki and probably cut him a $350 million contract down the line. And these front offices we've seen with the Dodgers plan years and years in advance. They plan for 3 years to sign Shohei Ohtani. So I just don't see a world where, like, there's not enough money in the world. Like, do you make that much money as a franchise to pay your bills and your players? Yes, clearly they do. But, like, you're talking about margins here that just get smaller and smaller every time you sign one of these guys. And I hate to make this so much about money, but number one, I just don't see them having the money. And number two, that's a clubhouse that you will certainly not be the guy.
Absolutely. And you're right. I think the dam has to break eventually. I think there is a limit to what they're doing. And quite frankly, they don't I hate to say this is the truth. They don't need him. They just don't.
No.
Objectively, they do not need Juan Soto. Now, I want to turn it over to another team that needs a Juan Soto type, and that's the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are in quite a precarious situation, I think, because here in the next year, they're going to lose one of maybe both of Bo Bichette and Vlad Jr. Granted, they've kind of dipped in performance over the last couple of years. They're still talented players, but at the end of the day, that franchise can look very different in a year's time, and adding a Juan Soto right now would be crucial for them.
The Blue Jays, man.
But before you even start, they have the same concerns as the Mets, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. Who protects him in that lineup? I was just going to say, because
Bingo.
Vladdy Jr. just had a season where, almost like Tyler O'Neill, he desperately needed the season that he just had because he's going into free agency soon. But he's still not the kind of guy that's like, definitely not pitching to Vladdy, got to pitch to Juan Soto. You almost need somebody in your lineup that is an equal threat to him. And I just don't see it. Bo Bichette's defense is awful. So his value's he's gonna suffer for that. So maybe they do work out an extension with him, but I don't see them working out a $700 million Juan Soto contract. And I think he clears the $700 million mark, judging by what these whisper numbers that we're getting in mid to late November are. I think he clears the $700 million mark. I don't think you can give $700 million to Juan Soto and then $700 million again to the combination of Bo Bichette and Vladdy Jr. What's the plan moving forward? Because the plan was kind of at its peak 3 years ago for the Blue Jays, and it just didn't work out in any way. So I just don't think that this team has the system built out to establish a desire to win in subsequent years over the next decade that Juan Soto is looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. As much as they need to sign him, I think there's some pretty large obstacles there, and that price tag for a Blue Jays team is definitely out of range. I feel like the Blue Jays are one of those sleeping giants too. Like I feel like if they really wanted to throw out that much cash, they could, but they're certainly one of the teams that's hesitant to do that. Now, I wanted to save the Red Sox for last, Parker, because, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass here, but I really, truly, objectively think that the Red Sox signing Juan Soto would be the biggest get of these 5 teams and fits the most perfectly for a variety of reasons. One, he's a Dominican player and Red Sox have a history of Dominican players, and he's going to go ahead and just follow in those footsteps. 2, that short porch in right field and that smaller right field works for him defensively. It works for him offensively.
He's going to move to left if he were to come to Boston. Or at least it looks that way. We just lost Tyler O'Neill.
Okay, sure. Then let's call it a small left field. Fantastic. Love it. Yeah. Jarren Duran in center. He's got everything else. Fantastic. But then there's the story. And God damn it, do I love
not Trevor's story.
Not Trevor's story. Do I love a good Yankees Red Sox story? And this just would be chef's kiss. Let's go ahead and take the Yankees guy and put him here in Boston. I would love everything about that move if they were able to pull it off. And I think they can.
This is it. This is the year. that we finally stick it to those Bronx bombing sons of bitches. This is the year we finally take one of their guys. I've had to sit through Johnny Damon. I've had to sit through Jacoby Ellsbury. I've had to sit through all the Roger Clemens, all these players that have left Boston and gone to New York, found all that success, save for Jacoby Ellsbury. He's actually a Red Sox at heart because he went there and did absolutely fucking jack shit.
Correct.
But Juan Soto coming to Boston, why does it fit? Well, who protects him in the lineup? Just Rafael Devers.
Yep.
Just a guy who has been perennially one of the best hitters in baseball. He plays a lot of games. He is consistently somebody you do not want to pitch to, especially in big situations, which I think is the most important time for you to be protected in the lineup. You're more willing to put Juan Soto up to bat than face Rafael Devers with one extra runner on base. On top of that, David Ortiz, and this is, I'm kind of reaching in the weeds here, but I'm also not.
Yeah.
David Ortiz is Juan Soto's next door neighbor down in the Dominican Republic. David Ortiz has come out and said Soto's mom makes him oxtail and they're best friends. He calls her mom. David Ortiz and Juan Soto have a connection. Their numbers are in their phone. They're talking all the time. Pedro Martinez has been very vocal about how Juan Soto is at least an acquaintance of his and plays into that Dominican heritage that we've seen in Boston for years and years and years. Rafael Devers is from the Dominican Republic. David Ortiz is from the Dominican Republic. Pedro Martinez is from the Dominican Republic. The heritage is there. It's just time for the Red Sox to actually put up or shut up. And the weirdest thing about this is that while it seems like an incredible fit and it seems like the slam dunk place to go, I have almost no faith that I have accrued over the last 5 years that says that the Red Sox are going to be able to sign Juan Soto. That doesn't mean that I don't think they will, period. But the last 5 years have taught me that they are not willing to spend the money. Now, we can talk about the comments that they have made. Sam Kennedy, Tom Werner, John Henry, they've made comments. They've said, we're all in, we're doing this, we're going over the luxury tax, we're spending all the money. And genuinely, when you look back at the last couple of years of the Red Sox payroll, it looks like they were pulling a Dodgers and going and setting up for the next huge caliber free agent like the Dodgers did for Shohei Ohtani. It looks like they've had this plan in place for a while, and they didn't want to say it out loud because the last thing you want to do is give Scott Boras leverage.
Yep.
So I refuse to say Juan Soto will be signed by the Boston Red Sox. But at least you and I can agree that it makes the most sense. He will be the guy for sure because Rafael Devers over the last few years has shown that he has no desire to be the guy. He doesn't even want to do interviews.
Right.
Yeah, which is fine. English is a second language. I'd probably be pretty bent out of shape about it too. But Juan Soto will be the guy. He can bang doubles off the monster. He can hook home runs around the pesky pole, and he can play serviceable left field for this foreseeable future. I think Juan Soto would look great in red and white, and I think that Juan Soto knows that when it comes to a heritage and to a ballpark perspective, playing 81 games at Fenway would be really good for him.
Man, I hope for your case that's the case. I know you're not saying he's coming to the Sox, but I know you'll dream about it. And let the dreams carry you.
If Juan Soto gets signed by a team other than the Red Sox, I might skip the next episode.
I'll be rolling solo next week.
I don't know. I'm joking, of course, but yeah, man. And you know the cool part about this whole Juan Soto sweepstakes is it doesn't seem it's going to last too long. Everything that we've been hearing seems like it's going to happen at or before or right after the winter meetings, right around in that time frame. And the winter meetings are only in a week and a half.
We are going to have a hell of a winter meeting show. I can't freaking wait.
Me neither, man. It's going to be a good time.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's end the show by just going real quickly. Let's give some free agent predictions. Like you said, we're getting up to the winter meetings. We're expecting big moves to be made with how kind of quickly things are picking up this early in the offseason. This could finally be an entertaining winter meeting. So we're going to talk about it next week. We will be here. We'll be talking winter meeting, or excuse me, not next week. The week after, we'll be here talking winter meetings. But before we get there, why don't we go through a list of the top free agents? I have a list of 2, 4, 6, 8 of them, and just give me who you think they're going to. Let's start with Corbin Burnes.
Corbin Burns, I think, stays in Baltimore. I think he stays with the Orioles.
Okay. Okay.
There's been a few rumors these days about them making offers to him and being competitive in his market. He already knows what Baltimore's like. It seemed like he had a good time at Baltimore. They made it, they had a good season, and they're going to be spending money. I think they goes to the Orioles.
I also think that he goes to the Orioles. I think it'd be dumb for him not to, and I think the Orioles definitely need to go ahead and splurge. If they're going to splurge, it's going to be on starting pitching for sure. Roki Sasaki, who do you got?
Dodgers. I think he goes to the Dodgers. To me, that's just such a slam dunk.
All right. I am going to go. You're not going to like this. I'm going Yankees.
Okay.
I'm going Yankees.
I could see it.
I could totally see it. And I think they have a history of, Masahiro Tanaka stands out to me. And, Matsui, certainly, former Japanese Yankee. So I think there's some connections there. And I think he's going to want to establish a Japanese presence on the East Coast, whereas the West Coast is kind of overcrowded with Japanese players.
Yeah.
Max Fried.
I've got him going to Boston. I actually think that the Red Sox I think they've made it pretty vocal that they're very in on Max Fried. I'm not, from a metrics perspective, I'm not addicted to that because he is a lot of swing and miss that is outside the zone. And those are typically the pitchers that you'll see fall off quicker because they just lose control of their stuff. But he's young, he's very good, and I hope he goes to the Red Sox.
I also had Red Sox. I do think that's the more likely fit. And quite frankly, whether Juan Soto or not, they're going to be looking for that top tier ace or number 2 pitcher. And I think Max Fried's probably their easiest get. So,
yeah.
Blake Snell went to deferral town, so he's there with the Dodgers. Willie Adames, who do you got?
Willie Adames, I think, goes to a team that is a fringe contender that sees this as an opportunity to sign a big name guy for less than $300 million. So I'm going to say Willie Adames goes to the Angels.
Really? That's a bold prediction. Really?
Wouldn't it be the most Angels move ever, though?
It would, but oh, wow. I don't know about that one. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm going to say I've been waffling on this one. This one's pretty hard. I'm going to go with the Braves.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah. I think the Braves, of all of their, you look out at their starting 9, and one of their weaker spots, really, since Dansby left, has been shortstop. There's just been this gaping hole there, and I think Willie Adames would be the perfect complement to what they have going on over there right now.
I think he fits into that culture pretty well too. I think that he's that
100%.
Not, I won't say loudmouth. That's a bad way of putting it, but they're a very charismatic and outgoing franchise. When you put them in the same clubhouse as guys like Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna Jr., I think that's a good fit for him. That's probably a better pick.
Alex Bregman, where you got him going?
Alex Bregman has New York Yankee written all fucking over him.
That's funny. Went with, and I went with this for a few reasons, mainly because this team is so hell-bent, seemingly, on trading Alec Boehm. So I think he's going to Phillies.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. He would fit well in that lineup as a right-hander, fit him around Bryce Harper, got that 1-2 punch from opposite sides of the plate. I could see that. Hopefully he has a better season with him.
Sure hope so. Pete Alonso.
Houston Astros.
Wow. You're pulling out some interesting ones here.
Yeah, I think that with Bregman leaving, there's a pretty big hole in that lineup. I think they still have aspirations for the playoffs. They need to do some work on their pitching if they're going to do that. But they have had a gaping hole at first base over the last few seasons, ever since Yuli left, and I think this is it. I think this is their guy that they can put at first base.
I have to say, I think this is one of those guys where they're worth more to their franchise than outside their franchise, and he's got to stay with the Mets. And if you're, the Athletic has a projection of 5 years, 130 for the Mets, not bad. And I think he's returns to New York.
Not bad at all. That's a bargain for a guy like Pete Alonso.
100%. Juan Soto. We'll leave this one for last. I think we know where we're going here. What do you got?
Yeah, I genuinely believe. I don't know if he ends up here, but I genuinely believe the best fit for Juan Soto is the Boston Red Sox.
I am with you. If I were really a betting man today, I would be betting on the Red Sox, and I sure hope that would be
It'd be
a hell of a
cinema.
story. It would be cinema, and we would spend way too much time talking about it, so works perfectly.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We have a lot coming up here on the Late Night Baseball Show. We have a really fun episode coming up next week. We are going to be doing a Major League Baseball. We're going to be doing a baseball movie draft. So we're going to be drafting our favorite baseball movies. Parker and I will be going back and forth and sharing some of our thoughts on some of the best baseball movies out there. So you'll want to join us next week for that. Parker, that's going to be, we've been talking about that for a while. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for basically since the beginning of last season. I got to do some research. Oh no, I get to watch baseball movies all week. But I'm going to do a bunch of research and watch maybe some movies that I haven't seen before, rewatch some old classics that maybe I've lost some love for. But I think some of my picks are going to be interesting to you because a lot of my favorite baseball movies are like the super kids ones, man.
Me too. I think you and I, when we go through our list, people are going to be thinking about like the quintessential like classics. I think we're going to get a little nuts with this one.
Yeah. Just a little sneak peek. I watched Angels in the Outfield like every week of my life between the ages of 7 to like 12. I love that movie.
That's funny.
It's not going to be my number one pick, but I absolutely love that movie.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a couple of those too that are not necessarily, like I said, the classics, but ones that just they're silly, they're dumb, they're feel good. Can't beat them.
I I think I know. I can't wait for this episode because there are some that are super close to your fandom that like I can't wait to hear you talk about.
Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be good. So we have that going on next week. Make sure you're joining us, folks. And then the week after that, we're going to be popping on Thursday night right after the conclusion of the winter meetings. We're going to talk about all of it. Who knows what's going to happen? You never know what you're going to expect after the MLB winter meetings. So we're going to sign off tonight, folks. Before we do, please make sure you go ahead and follow us everywhere you listen to your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Make sure you're subscribing. Give us a great review. Give us all the stars. Give us all the comments. Give us all the love. We'd appreciate it. Also, I didn't know if you know this, you can actually but listen to our show on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And in the future, we are most likely, Parker, going to be appearing on video on YouTube. So TBD on that, but we are very eager to bring you some video content as well. So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody, here on the Late Night Baseball Show. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week. Take care.